Are you tired of spending hours scripting, filming, editing, only to get 30 views and then watch your video die in silence? I totally get it. I used to spend over 12 hours making what I thought was a genuinely good video and then see it flop completely afterwards. So it's really frustrating, especially when you know that the content is good. So why isn't YouTube pushing it? In today's video, I'll show you my exact 3-step scripting formula to trigger the YouTube algorithm so it starts to finally recommend your video to the right people. So get them to watch, stay, and subscribe. So first I want to talk about how to structure your hook in the first 30 seconds. Now let's say if my video is called How I Grew My YouTube Channel. Here's a really bad way to start it. Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel. I'm so happy to be here. And on this channel, we mostly talk about how to grow your YouTube channel with AI strategies. And today I want to talk a little bit more about my YouTube journey so far, some of the things I've learned over the last few months, some of the ups and downs I've gone through. Hopefully you'll be able to find something useful in it. When I started doing YouTube when I was 23, and the reason I started was, okay, pause. See how bad that was? Is terrible, because if I were a viewer, I would have closed the video out a long time ago and moved on because I was rambling. Now, how do we make it better? Here's what I would structure for a much better hook. I posted 8 videos and barely got any views. Then one day I tweaked one thing in my script and my next video hit 5K views in just 4 days. So in this video, I'll show you exactly what I changed in my script so we can copy it to grow faster and you don't have to spend 20 hours on every video upload. Now, that hook will work. Why? Because of 3 things. First, there's emotion, right? There's frustration of being stuck with barely getting any views to a breakthrough. Secondly, there's a clear promise. So in that hook, I mentioned that I will show you exactly what I tweaked in my script so you can copy it. So there's a clear promise that people want to stick around to get. The third thing here is that it creates curiosity, right? Now people are actually curious, like, what did you change in your script to achieve that? So they naturally want to figure out what happened. Now, before I show you the 3 easy ways to better structure your hook, I just want to take the next 30 seconds to quickly walk you through why the first 30 seconds, why your hook is so important. If you're a small channel, and I'm guessing you are if you are watching that, if you really want to grow and break out of this small channel hell, your biggest priority right now is to break into suggested traffic or homepage recommendations on YouTube. Because that's where real growth happens. That's where I've seen creators to go from 42 subscribers to 42,000 subscribers in a few months. So how do you break into suggested traffic or homepage recommend? YouTube needs to start recommending your video aggressively for that to happen. Now, how do you get YouTube to start recommending your video aggressively? 2 things need to happen. First, a strong click-through rate, CTR. Secondly, strong retention. And we have already covered CTR in detail in another video, so if you're curious, feel free to check that out. So in this video, we're going to solely focus on fixing your retention. Because if your retention is bad and people don't stay past the first 30 to 60 seconds, your video is essentially dead in the water, meaning that YouTube stops pushing your video altogether. So that's when you'll see your video has views around 50, 70, 100, and just stays flat after that, which means the algorithm has already given up on that video. And the fastest way to fix that is to fix your first 30 to 60 seconds, aka to structure your hook better. There are 3 ways to do that. The first one here is you can structure your hook around a bold statement of results. So let's say instead of opening your video in the old way that we just talked about, which is, hey, my name is Rachel, welcome back to my channel. On this channel, we talk about this and that, right? Blah, blah, blah. So instead of opening it up in that way that's really bland and boring, you can instead say, hey, in this video, I'm going to share my exact scripting formula that helped my videos go from 200 views to more than 20,000 views. Like that, you're leading with an outcome that you know your audience really wanted. And the second way you can do that is you can structure your hook with a question that's focused on a pain point. So for example, what I did in the beginning of the video, I started by asking a question, hey, are you tired of spending hours working on a video only to get 30 views? So I knew from personal experience that was my biggest pain point. And probably for other small channels, you're spending a lot of time, energy creating videos and not getting the return you're expecting, right? And the third way to better structure your hook is to start with a statement that challenge what they believe right now and promise there is a better way. So for example, I could have started by saying, hey, in this video, I want to show you, in order to really grow on YouTube, you don't need better editing of your video. You don't need all the fancy equipments. All you need is better retention of your audience. And I'll show you how to quickly achieve that in less than a few minutes. So here, what I did was to take a more contrarian take to promise them, hey, instead of what you believe as consensus, there's the better way. Now, after the hook, the next piece you will need to help improve your retention to make sure your audience stay past the first 60 seconds is the promise of your video. All you're doing here is letting your audience know what they're going to get, specific and concrete value if they stick around watching. Now, take the same example. A very weak promise of your video would look something like this. Hey, in this video, we're going to talk about some of the lessons I learned when I'm growing my YouTube channel. It's not terrible, but it's not that enticing because it doesn't promise anything concrete. So instead, here's a stronger version. In this video, I'm going to cover my exact 3-step scripting formula that's going to hold attention and trigger that. So your average retention of your audience would be at least 50% or higher. So that's much, much better, right? Because it promises something that's concrete and highly specific in value. So when you write this part of your script, ask yourself, what is this clear promise I'm giving in this video? And what are the viewers expecting to know from this video? And what am I telling them that they will be able to walk away with if they stick around watching my video? And again, don't overthink it. This is just a bridge. No more than 1 to 2 sentences. That's it. Okay, so let's continue to the next part, which is actually the most meaty section of your video, the step-by-step lessons. This is why this section also really matters. Remember what I mentioned in the beginning, that getting your viewers past the first 30 to 60 seconds is really critical? That's just the beginning. If you really want YouTube to start recommending your videos aggressively at scale so it can break into the suggested traffic or homepage recommendations, you need people to stick around for at least 30 to 50% of your video, depending on the length of your video. And when YouTube sees people are watching your video this far in, around 30 to 50% of your full video, that's when YouTube starts pushing it again and again on the homepage, in suggested, and beyond. This is where your video really takes off and scale. But how do you actually script out this middle section so you really keep people watching? Now, before I share the 3 proven frameworks for you to apply into your videos, I do want to take the next 45 seconds to quickly explain what's typically included in this section. So this is where you deliver the concrete information, whatever it is, whether it's a system, a process, a framework, a strategy, a new method, whatever it is. This is where you actually share the goodies to help your audience achieve that transformation that your title promised. So for example, if my YouTube video title right now is How I Grew My YouTube Channel, this is the section where you actually spill the beans and tell them in detail how you grew your channel. Now let's go back to the 3-step formula I mentioned before that you can apply in this section to drastically improve your viewers' retention. So it's called the why story next method. So why here just means for each lesson you're giving out in this part, you need to clearly tell your audience why it matters for them to pay attention to this lesson. Because if you just tell them what to do and you don't tell them what matters, people don't really pay attention to it. You need to articulate what is going to be the consequence for your audience if they skip this, if they don't do this correctly. And what do they stand to gain from this if they do this right? You don't have to give a full TED talk here. Even just 1 or 2 sentences that clearly frames the stakes involved will keep people watching and keep them engaged. So let's take the same example, how I grew my YouTube channel. So let's say in that video, I actually gave out 3 lessons to my audience. And the first lesson here is posting weekly no matter what. Now, ideally, you want to be starting that lesson with you clearly articulating to your viewers why it's so important for them to maintain that weekly posting schedule. So maybe you'll say something like posting weekly, especially early on YouTube, is very critical because it gives consistent data for the algorithm to test early on and also helps maximize your chances of getting one video picked up. So this why here will make people feel like, hey, this lesson is actually urgent and meaningful. There's a consequence to it if I don't do. So that's what will keep people watching. Now, the second part of this why story next really focuses on the story part, which means that if you can build your lessons into a story or use it as part of the story, use it because story is retention glue. So the same example, how I grew my YouTube channel, instead of just telling it in separate lessons, you can try to combine your lessons into a cohesive story. It could be a story like this. At one point, I was stuck. My YouTube channel completely plateaued. No matter how much effort I would put in, my new videos would never get more than 20 views per video. So I decided to test something. I didn't change the content itself. I just changed the packaging of the video, which is the title and the thumbnail. That was it. Within a few days, that same type of video now grew from 20 views before to more than 20,000 views. That's when I really realized that even though content quality matters on YouTube, if the packaging is not attention grabbing, no one will ever see it. So that was a full story, right? So instead of telling your lessons separately, now you have a full story rolling. So if your story is good enough, if it's hooky, then your audience will naturally want to stay to see what was the ending of the story. People would be invested into the development of your plot, into the story, and that's how you can keep them watching and keep your retention long. Now let's move on to the third part of my formula, which is focused on next. Next here just means that even though stories are perfect, not every lesson can be grouped as part of the story. So if that's the case, and you're walking people through a process, a strategy, a system, something that's sequential, your scripting still needs to create momentum so you make your viewers feel like the previous steps lead to the next steps, and they need all the complete steps in order to make this transformation. So that's how you can keep people watching. So just like what I did in this video, right? So first, I talked about the importance of doing the first 30 to 60 seconds really well to hook people in. And then secondly, also alluded that, hey, that was just the beginning. That's not enough. You need to make sure people actually retain and watch 30 to 50% of your video so that YouTube will start recommending your videos on homepage, on suggested traffic, and so on and so forth. So there's a sequence there, right? Like you feel like, hey, I need to have both pieces complete in order to really grow at scale. Now, in the next video, I'm going to talk about how to use AI to help you script out your YouTube videos so that it's still going to be really high quality, but it takes 10 minutes per video. So if you don't want to miss that video, please hit subscribe today so you won't miss it next week when it comes out. And I'll see you there.